Property is a great investment when you're in it and you can benefit from it. But the downside of if you had to do the dollar cost averaging yourself is the emotions that you're going to face. So if Bitcoin dumps to $10,000 tomorrow, are you actually going to go and buy that X amount that you said that you were going to?
What are the advantages that a business owner can get from mining Bitcoin?
Mining store, like we mine Bitcoin on behalf of our business. And one of the best benefits is at the end of the year, we can go, all right, well, we made X amount of profit. Rather than just paying tax on that, let's just go and buy that much miners. And essentially we then as a business have paid or earned zero income. When Bitcoin was first coming out, and it had a lot of bad publicity behind it saying like, it's used for drug money or it's used for illicit, transactions, okay? And so there was this concept that people would pay more for virgin Bitcoin, which is Bitcoin that was directly from Treasury and had never been transacted to who knows.
Welcome to Founders Playbook Podcast, the ultimate guide for entrepreneurs to build their empires, increase profits, and become great leaders. I'm your host, Nelson, founder and CEO of Vibes Creative, Australia's leading video podcast agency. Let's get down to business. Welcome back to another episode of Founders Playbook. Today, as per usual, we have an absolute legend at Vibes HQ. He happens to be one of our legendary podcast partners. He's an 8-figure entrepreneur, has done over 70 million in sales, and he's the founder of mining store and Imperial Wealth. Please welcome the legend, the incredible, the one and only, Mr. William Wright.
Thanks for having me, Nelson. I'll never get over your hype up introductions. I need you around me more often.
Let's just cut to the chase.
Let's go for it.
How exactly do you go from being in traditional finance, so a banking consultant, to a Bitcoin miner?
Yeah, it's a good question. So we started out, me and my business partner, Cal, we were a bit nerdy in high school. And so we were a bit like playing games online. And at the time I was at university and we learned through online gaming communities that if we mine, like when we're not using our computer, we can mine Bitcoin. So yeah, that's kind of like how we got into it, I guess. I knew how to build computers from my time in, high school building gaming computers and whatnot. And just started off as a bit of a hobby at the start. And then through being in, banking, and I worked in foreign exchange trading as well. I was surrounded by the financial market in 2017. And that's when, Bitcoin was really starting to kick off. And we kind of looked back and we're like, shit, like we've actually mined a fair bit of Bitcoin. It was going from a couple $100 a day to $1,000 a day to $10,000, all the way up to $20,000 a day. So like on the daily price. So that's where we kind of looked at it and we're like, let's actually turn this into a business. We had a lot of friends, family, people in our network asking, can you build me a Bitcoin miner? And that's where things really started to kick off and how we got into the Bitcoin mining.
And it sounds so simple right now, but realistically back then, that would have been completely crazy. Like, if someone comes and tells you like, hey, I'm just mining Bitcoin, like you'll be like, you're absolutely insane. Why are you doing that? That's a waste of time. What a joke. So what exactly made you realize that there was a real big opportunity there to even pursue that? Because everyone around you, I'm guessing, and you tell me like, were they telling you you were absolutely out of your mind trying to mine this thing?
Yeah, there's definitely an element of it. As I say, when we first were in it, like I don't think we really understood what it was. You know what I mean? Like people ask me or say, you've been successful with your business, and it's like there's always a little bit of an element of luck. Like we were at the right place at the right time. I was in the position that I could start the business and spend time looking into cryptocurrency. But also, as you say, we identified that there's a clear opportunity here. And to see an asset go from thousands of dollars to 20,000, you've got to be crazy not to look into it. It would be like looking at AI today and being like, it's something. It's like, no, it's like taking over the world in ways, So that's what it was. If I reflect back on it, that's how I remember it being. We just kind of saw this thing like, yes, it's here. When we actually started our business in 2017, that was the top of the market. And we went through this bear market where everything just went down. And yes, you had those days like, did we do the right thing here? But we stuck it out, still made sales, we're still people interested. There's a lot of people in the crypto community that are very passionate about what it was, decentralized finance, a new way of managing your finances and having control. So that's kind of what kept us in it, I would say. Yeah, is that there is a place for this and it was going to stay.
So you guys started the company in 2017, right?
Probably officially, yeah. Like we were doing it, just making it for people, but officially started Mining Store in 2017.
You start with your co-founders, just the two of you. How exactly are you building and delivering all these machines? Is it yourself? Do you got people? How do you went about it?
Yeah, originally it was a bit like Steve Jobs. We started in the garage, how we were literally building these computers by hand. It's actually really nice to look back on the photos and kind of go like, this is like we were doing this. It was bricks and mortar, you know what I mean? Probably around 2018, so a year or so later, we realized that Australia's electricity prices were expensive and also it wasn't scalable for us to keep building these things by hand. You could only make so many a week and all the issues with it. So we started looking at...
How many could you do a day?
If we really cracked down, in a day we probably could have done 3. And
that's both of you going after all day.
Yeah, both of us going hard at it. Like in a week, maybe 5 or 10, So if you put, you're probably making max $1,000 on selling one of these things, 10 grand a week, like max. But it's a lot of work, and probably couldn't have kept going at that rate. And then we saw an opportunity to get hosting facilities overseas and actually start getting the miners manufactured overseas as well. That's kind of where things really changed for us as a business. That's where the scalability factor of it came in.
Where are some of those countries where you found the opportunity to get cheaper cost of the electricity? And is that the same country as well where you were building it? So is everything happening on the same location? Can you break down a little bit more of that?
Yeah, like any crypto savvy people who've been in crypto OG, 10 years ago will know that like everything was done in China back in the day. All the mining was in China. It was almost centralized in China. Then China banned mining. And so we were originally in China with all of our mining and then they banned it and that's where we had to look elsewhere. So we looked into Australia, but Australia's energy prices were too high. We looked at a couple countries. We looked at EU. Right now we're mostly in Ethiopia. That's a big new kind of mining hub for the industry. Done a bit of mining in the USA, but they're pretty ruthless, the Americans. They kind of can push and shove pretty quickly. So we didn't like to expand there as much. So yeah, mostly Ethiopia. Always looking for new opportunities as well.
For comparison, what are you looking at paying in terms of electricity costs in Australia in comparison to Ethiopia?
Yeah, you're looking at about a third of the cost. So in Australia, people pay 20 to 30 cents. We're closer to 10 to 13 cents, which is substantial. If you can imagine with your business, you could reduce your costs by 70% or so. Like you'd be jumping at that, and that's where you need to be for it to be profitable as well. Around 13 cents per kilowatt hour is the rate that we're getting. The cheapest you'll ever see might be something like 5 to 6 cents, but there's going to be a lot of issues involved with that. There'll be downtime with miners and things like that. It comes at a cost. They've got to make some money. It's not stable enough. So around that 10 to 13 Aussie cents is the sweet spot. And
then are the machines being built as well in the same location?
Still manufactured in China. So the miners still get manufactured in China. We have a very vast network of suppliers that we use and we compare the prices and get best prices. We try to order in bulk. So we do 200 to 300 miners per month in bulk and then have them shipped to our facility. And then once they get to the facility, you're dealing with a different group of individuals, different contractors, and they get the miners online for clients.
Do you have to go to Ethiopia? Have you been there?
Yeah, we've been to a lot of our facilities, but not often. It's like a whole team set up there, A-grade facilities. We don't have to go in and check too much. It's a good thing if we don't have to go.
Now, let's backtrack a second. For business owners that are new to the topic, what exactly is Bitcoin mining?
Yeah, good question. So essentially what a Bitcoin miner is doing, it's validating transactions on the Bitcoin network. So when you're comparing it to the traditional world, I like to think of a Bitcoin miner like a bank teller at a bank. We'll start with a bank teller. A bank teller, you go to them, you say, here's $100. Can you please put it in Nelson's account? And they'll process that in their system, update that there's now $100 in your account. That's exactly what a Bitcoin miner is doing. So it's basically processing the transactions between what we call blocks. So it's blockchain technology. There's block 1, 2, 3, 4, and each block represents where everyone's money was at that point in time. So yeah, they're getting paid a fee to do a similar job to what a bank teller does.
What exactly is the difference as well from buying Bitcoin directly yourself to mining Bitcoin?
Yeah. When you buy Bitcoin directly, probably first thing we need to establish is there's only ever going to be 21 million Bitcoin. And when Bitcoin first started, all of that Bitcoin was sitting in what we call a treasury, okay? And every block that is solved or mined, there's a reward that goes out, all right? So when you're mining, you're getting Bitcoin directly from that treasury as a reward, as well as all the transaction fees in the block that was solved. When you buy directly, you're buying it from like a third party market, someone that's already transacted before, usually an exchange. And so when you're mining, you're technically getting it at a cheaper price to what the market rate is. You're getting it native sent to you, so, or mined to you. Yeah. So hopefully that explains it.
Yeah, because there's no middleman. There's no the crypto brokerage or exchange.
Same,
right?
and then like same as mining gold. You know, you can mine gold with industrial, and you can get into the ground and mine it directly, and you obviously pay your cost to do that, but you're getting it cheaper than the market rate. And then there's a market rate for it, which is what's going on in the real world, and you go into a broker or a bullion or wherever and buy it from them as a finished product.
When you mine Bitcoin directly from the source, this is what it is called a virgin Bitcoin.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. Yeah.
What is virgin Bitcoin?
Yeah. So it was probably a bigger term back in 2017 to 2020 when Bitcoin was first coming out, and it had a lot of bad publicity behind it, saying like, you know, it's used for drug money or it's used for illicit, transactions. Okay. And so there was this concept that, people would pay more for virgin Bitcoin, which is Bitcoin that was directly from Treasury and had never been transacted to who knows, you know, could that other Bitcoin on the market could have been used between illicit transactions and whatnot. So that's what virgin Bitcoin is. It's Bitcoin that comes directly from Bitcoin miners receiving it from the Treasury, as opposed to Bitcoin that's already out in the ecosystem and been transacted and has a history of movement.
And what is the advantage to doing that? Because there are some specific tax advantages to that. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah. So like when the advantage really is like tax benefits, not entirely. Yeah. You still got to pay income tax on it and whatnot. But it is also on you to disclose it, I suppose. So depending what tax structure you're under, you know, that's coming natively straight to you. There's no back record of it. And then you declare it as you own it. So it's kind of anonymous until you own it. Might be what you're referring to.
And like, do you see that changing? Because to put it like very simply, you could be mining Bitcoin. This Bitcoin comes from the source, which means it has never been transacted. And technically, you don't have to pay any taxes if you don't declare that Bitcoin, which you don't really have to, right?
Yeah.
Unless you're planning on selling it or anything like that, right? So that's non-KYC
Yeah,
Bitcoin,
correct.
right?
Yeah. Like we run mining store. We can sell someone $5 million worth of miners. And those miners go online and they mine to that person's anonymous wallet. So it's on the onus of you to declare that you are mining and et cetera. So it's non-KYC. It's native Bitcoin, non-KYC. There's no record that it's attached to you. So yeah, I mean, like if you look at examples of people from other countries that are suffering a lot of corruption and their government's not doing the right things. I think in Australia, yes, taxes suck. But overall, we've got a pretty good country, right? But if you were in a situation that you're in a country that, you know, they're rorting you or they're taking you and you're losing things, you know, you could mine Bitcoin and keep that safe. You know, no one can touch that. It's not part of like a system where they can just go to the bank and say, yep, close this bank account down. You know, you have full sovereign access to that. So, yeah.
On what you see as well in people that currently mine Bitcoin, is there a particular use that they have for specifically for virgin Bitcoin or non-KYC Bitcoin?
A lot of people will hold on to it because there's a chance, and I say this, there was more of a narrative in 2017 to 2020, but there's a chance that virgin Bitcoin would have a premium on it because people would want Bitcoin that hasn't been touched by nefarious actors or illicit transactions or whatever it is. So there is that element to it, and some people still will pay a premium for virgin Bitcoin. But overall, it's not something that I personally focus on too much. I'm more focused on advantage of Bitcoin mining, such as pure dollar cost average strategy, long-term exposure to Bitcoin, very high scalability, tax benefits of writing off the miners, writing off the expenses you're paying for power bills. These are the benefits of Bitcoin mining to me. But there's definitely individuals out there that like the anonymous side to it, that like the virgin Bitcoin side to it.
So from everything you just broke down, what are the advantages that a business owner can get from mining Bitcoin?
Yeah, like even mining still, like we mine Bitcoin on behalf of our business. And one of the best benefits is at the end of the year, we can go, all right, well, we made X amount of profit. Rather than just paying tax on that, let's just go and buy that much miners. And essentially we then as a business have paid or earned zero income, right? So you can also depreciate the assets over time. During COVID, there was the instant asset write-off, which was unbelievable. You could go and buy $1 million worth of miners, instantly write it off, and then not pay tax for that year and accumulate Bitcoin throughout. So yeah, massive benefits.
So unreal.
Yeah, and that's we have a lot, like probably our biggest client will be business owners. They will come tax time, everyone sees it around July. What are you doing to save money and pay less tax on your business? A lot of them will come and buy, $100,000, $200,000, $500,000, $1 million worth of Bitcoin miners so they can reduce their tax bill for that year.
So you can reduce the tax bill. You can then as well deduct the power bills,
yes.
Correct? You can depreciate the miner.
Yep.
And you are mining Bitcoin that is basically appreciating.
Yeah, exactly right. It's a really good long-term way to build exposure to one of the fastest growing assets in the world. Rather than just buying it directly and maybe it goes down in value and you kind of get a bit nervous or did I make the right decision? You can buy the miners and just mine Bitcoin at every price every day. So keep it simple. If I bought a miner today and Bitcoin rallied to 150,000 over the next 2-3 months, well, I would mine it at 100,000, 110,000, 120,000. I would mine it at different prices. And then the flip side, if Bitcoin dropped from, it's at about 95,000 right now. If it dropped to 80,000, well, I would pick up some at 80,000. If it dropped to 50, I would pick up some. So you're spreading your exposure over time rather than just going all in at one price. Yeah.
Does the amount of Bitcoin mined, is it always the same based on the number of the machines, or does it go up and down? How does it work exactly, the amount that you get?
It's a competitive market, so it fluctuates, okay? So when Bitcoin first started, say there was 10 people mining Bitcoin or 10 machines mining Bitcoin, and you had one of them, then your chances of winning the reward would be 10%, okay? You're one of 10%. But then over time, more miners get added onto the network, and so you're competing against all those miners, and so the reward over time in Bitcoin's number that you're getting will reduce, okay? But Bitcoin's price is going up exponentially as well. So the actual dollar value that you're getting is going up.
Now, if we were to compare that to just buying Bitcoin directly over time, what does that look like in terms of the returns of me, let's say, just dollar cost average, right? Bitcoin, and buying the machines that they have an initial cost to then the long term. Where exactly do you end up, let's say, in a 10-year time?
Yeah, it's really hard to model, I'll be honest. I usually like to say that like they would be quite similar, but the downside of if you had to do the dollar cost averaging yourself is the emotions that you're going to face. So are you actually, if Bitcoin dumps to $10,000 tomorrow, are you actually going to go and buy that X amount that you said that you were going to? Whereas when you have a Bitcoin miner, it'll just mine it for you. So it just does it for you. Also that you have to execute on that strategy. So whether your emotions get in the way or not, you need to make sure that you did buy it, okay? Whereas the miner just does it all for you. So the more the advantage when you're talking about a dollar cost average strategy of buying X amount, $10,000 a month or a year of Bitcoin, as opposed to mining with $10,000 worth of Bitcoin miners, more is that it's automated, it's the psychology doesn't get in the way, and it's a pure dollar cost average strategy over time. In terms of comparing which one would win, it depends where you start it. Obviously, if Bitcoin did drop to 10K tomorrow and you started DCAing there, well, you've got in at a very low price, so it may outperform the mining. But if Bitcoin is at its highest right now and you started it at that point, then the mining will probably win because potentially Bitcoin's price goes down a bit. Yeah, it gets a little bit complicated when you're speaking the numbers, but yeah, overall, the benefits is building exposure automatically and passively.
And there are specific scenarios in which in a long-term horizon, if you bought, let's say, too much on when it was high compared to just having that consistency, I'm guessing that like the Bitcoin mining would outperform.
Right? Well outperform in most cases. So, because literally think about it logically. You know, if you go and buy one Bitcoin today at 95,000, and then over the next year, Bitcoin actually drops to 80, 70, and then all the way down to 50,000 odd, well, then you've almost halved your portfolio value. But if you go and buy a Bitcoin miner today at 95,000, over that 1-2 years, you're picking up Bitcoin at 90, at 80, at 70, 60, 50, etc. So yeah, it's a pure dollar cost average strategy, no emotion in the way, a lot of tax benefits that you can claim those power bills, incredibly scalable. A lot of people would struggle to buy $5 million worth of Bitcoin tomorrow with KYC, with regulation, but you can literally just go to mining store if you choose to and buy $5, $10, $20 million worth of miners and have them online for you and start mining.
Back when you guys started as well, so you started in 2017, but just a year later, there was like a massive event where there was a big dump on the Bitcoin price. What was happening for you guys as you're just starting this business and this massive market event took place? Can you take us back to what happened there and how do you guys navigate that?
Yeah, it's like I was in a very fortunate position where I was still living at home at the time. So I was still quite young. I think I was like 21, 22 years old when I started my business. So that definitely helped. But at the same time, in my previous roles, foreign exchange trading, banking, sales, I had built up a good amount of capital. But no one likes watching their net wealth go down, right? Things were slow at the start. So I actually picked up Uber driving at the time. I thought, I saw the long-term value in building a business, and I saw the long-term value in cryptocurrency. So I stuck it out, and it's like, I guess a combination of being in the right time, right place, didn't have a lot of expenses behind me, didn't have kids yet, all the rest of it. So I could keep focusing on my business. But also you got to pat yourself on the back that, it was like one of the worst points of the market that it's ever been. You've got the news saying that it's a scam, that it's completely over. They all got it wrong. It was a massive bubble. And then you got this, young 21, 22-year-old, me and my business partner together going, we've got faith in this. Let's keep going at it, keep building, keep servicing clients, keep running the community, and pay big dividends in the end. So that's kind of how I look at it. Was a bit fortunate. I know a lot of other business owners may have kids and things like that. They go, shit, am I making the right decision? But you just got to have that resilience really and belief in the long term and see that long-term vision.
At what point it became pretty evident that this thing was taking off?
What point in time? I'm going to say the next bull run. So like 2018 settled down, 2019 came through, that 2020 like COVID period. It was awesome for us because people were at home doing fuck all. They were more than willing to take a phone call from us and learn about Bitcoin mining and learn about trading and whatnot. So that really, blew up our business, but also showed like there was so much distrust in government. And there still is now because of COVID. People were just like, we just got absolutely bamboozled by the government. They said one thing and really another was happening. They lied to us about everything, really. So, that was a big, big moment for cryptocurrency that people really started going, wow, maybe this decentralized network where you don't have to trust governments or you don't have to KYC or you can send $1 million to wherever you want to, whether it be to Russia, whether it be to China, wherever, I can get on a plane tomorrow, have $10 million on a Trezor wallet and no worries. It's not like carrying $10 million of duffel bags of cat, So that's really, for me, where I think cryptocurrency was solidified. And then recently another big event was the launching of ETFs, so exchange traded funds. that really pulled in the centralized business or world, centralized banking, stockbroking, that pulled that world into the crypto world to allow to align. So on the stock exchanges, you could then go and buy Bitcoin through an ETF rather than having to go through like a cryptocurrency exchange. So yeah, that's probably like the next point that like, all right, this is here to stay. And that's what institutions needed. That's what regulators needed. Everyone kind of in the central or normal world needed to see crypto last and stay and participate in as well.
That's definitely one of the most powerful aspects of Bitcoin and crypto in general that you only get to see when you start traveling and then realize like, holy shit, I can take all of this with me anywhere in my pocket.
Literally, yeah.
So it really gives you this sense of freedom and sovereignty, right? Which is definitely one of the most appealing elements to it to most people. Now, one thing is that most business owners in Australia have been sold that the best way to build wealth is property, right? So what would you say to business owners that believe that property is the best vehicle to build them wealth?
Yeah, fell into the same trap, if I'll be honest. Obviously, we've established through the podcast that our business has done well and probably have been more fortunate than a lot of other people out there living on a base income, and it takes a long time for them to afford a property. That's the biggest issue right now. I did an episode with my own business recently, and it's about 10.6 years it's taking people to save enough money for a 20% deposit. So if you consider that 10 years, the way I look at that is 10 years of opportunity cost. 10 years of just putting money into the bank, into a savings account, earning low interest and not really getting ahead. That's the biggest issue right now is how long it's taking people to get into property. Property is a great investment when you're in it and you can benefit from it. But if you're kind of ring fencing yourself for 10 years of just saving enough cash to get into it, you're going to be 30, 40 years old by the time you're even in it. And then by then you're so far behind that you're going to be working to 60, 70, 80 anyway. So yeah, you need to take on a bit more risk. I've got a high risk profile and it pays off for some people. Some people have too high risk profile and they never get ahead. So taking calculated risk. And yeah, for me, as I say, might have been a little bit of luck. But I'd recognize that Bitcoin was the way ahead for me. You know, I didn't really see any assets out there that could get the returns and I was as comfortable in it as what I am with Bitcoin. I think year on year, we've got about a 70% return on investment, even with the volatility of Bitcoin. So yeah, I've always said to people, show me an investment that's better than that. I'm more than happy to diversify. Of course, I do own property. I own my own house. I own different property in terms of like NDIS investments, through group investments, funds. You know, you got to diversify, but also you got to take enough risk when you're young to get ahead. And definitely don't just put money in the bank for 10 years trying to save a 20% deposit.
That is probably the worst use of money ever.
Yeah.
Just staying on a bank account, right? Doing nothing.
Yeah, shocking.
Hey, real quick, if you're a founder, CEO, or business owner looking to build a personal brand, scale your business, and become a great leader, I've been curating all the best lessons, tactics, and strategies that I've learned from 7, 8, and 9-figure entrepreneurs and my own business journey into the ultimate playbook to help you accomplish just that. So if you're keen to get them straight into your inbox, sign up for our newsletter in the link down below. Now back to the episode. In terms of how you buy Bitcoin, what are all the different ways in which you currently buy and acquire Bitcoin?
Me personally, I do it through OTC, so that's over the counter. I do it through an exchange. I use CoinStash or OKX. There's heaps in Australia that are great exchanges, but I actually do it like one-on-one with them. So there's like a WhatsApp group that I'm in with them. This is only if you're purchasing like $20,000 to $100,000, and I'll contact them. I'll just say, yeah, looking to buy 50,000 worth of Bitcoin today, and then they basically send it to my wallet. Okay, I upload like money from my bank account onto their platform, and the transaction gets processed. The benefit of that is it's usually lower on fees and you get a better market rate price as well. The standard way and how we will usually set up most of our clients who aren't necessarily going in and purchasing $20,000 to $100,000 straight away, It's just setting up a cryptocurrency exchange. It's literally what you call the on-ramp from getting fiat currency into the crypto world. So you'll just set up CoinStash, OKX, whatever it is. You'll upload your $10,000 into the account. And then you just click this button that says buy Bitcoin at whatever today's rate is. And then you've got the Bitcoin. We say not your keys, not your coin. And basically we encourage people when they're comfortable to set up a wallet, which is not really like, I'm just going to, for simplicity's sake, say it's not online, you know, you actually own the private keys. Think of it like a bank vault. That's what your wallet is in crypto. And we encourage people to withdraw from there. So to sum that up, where do you buy it? An exchange is definitely the easiest place, whether you do it OTC or on exchange directly. There's other ways to buy it. There's Bitcoin ATMs. I wouldn't touch it. There's, you know, you could buy it online. Yeah, there's heaps of ways to buy it, but those are the main ways.
And so that's in your personal name. Do you buy then under the company, right?
Yep.
And SMSF?
Yep.
So
all of the above, yeah. So depending on like cash flow, if the business has cash flow, then we will buy it through our company account. If I've personally sold one of my assets, I'll buy it through my personal account. I have my own family trust as well for tax reasons that I can spread the income that I earn per year across to my partner and others. Then we've got your self-managed super fund that you can set up as well. So you can purchase Bitcoin on that. If you have offshore entities, you can purchase it. It doesn't really matter. It just depends what makes sense for which entity where you purchase it. And there's different tax benefits for that, which obviously I'm not a chartered accountant. I can't give advice on. But yeah, speak to someone about that.
yeah, cool. Because that's definitely one of the most interesting parts as well. As you get more educated, and if that's something that you're basically getting into, that yeah, probably buying on your personal name might not be the best option in comparison to other options available, like even your company, right?
Spot on.
And one of the things as well that I've found super interesting, having a treasury for the company, right? Saving even on Bitcoin.
Yeah, exactly.
Not on.
Yeah, and we had like a lot of our clients, as I say, the biggest ones are businesses, and that's exactly how they look at it. A lot of people, for the business owners out there, and probably most of the people listening to this are business owners, you know, people on their personal level, they tend to be savvy. You know, eventually they're like, how can I get ahead? I need to invest. But then with their business, they just leave all this cash sitting there, or they don't get savvy with it. Like, think of your business as a person as well. Like, how can I get my business ahead? And doing something like that, maybe you put 10% of your sales into Bitcoin. You know, maybe you've had a massive year. Okay, well, let's put $500,000 into Bitcoin or into Bitcoin miners to get the tax benefit. So you're not just losing 30% at the end of the year. Yeah, definitely a good way to think about things. And as you say, you can do it, purchase Bitcoin on any entity. It doesn't matter.
And it's so easy. That's the other benefit to it. Like a house, you can't break it into, let me just buy the door or the window, right? Whereas Bitcoin, you can buy as little or as much as you want.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. A lot of people, like, especially early days, didn't understand that Bitcoin is fractionalized. So when Bitcoin went from 20,000, I'm out of this market. I can't afford $20,000. So it's like, well, you can buy $1 worth of Bitcoin. You're just going to get 0.0001 of a Bitcoin, you know, or whatever the number would be.
Yeah. And even cooler as well is that you can loan against your Bitcoin.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So you can get tax-free money just like you would
exactly,
from an investment property.
Yeah.
Right?
Like, rather than selling an asset that's clearly going up every year, you know, you got to be savvy about when you take the loan out. Because ideally you want it to go up after that. But yeah, you can loan against it rather than selling it, creating a taxable event, having to pay that tax on it. You know, if you have one Bitcoin, for example, and you take a loan out on it, but it goes up 10 times in value, well, that's obviously a very good position to be in. You haven't actually sold that asset. You can then redeem, like, you pay off your loan and you've still got the Bitcoin exposure. So yeah, much better tax way to do it.
What are all the different ways in which you guys currently acquire customers? How do you do marketing? Can you break it down?
Yeah, probably the thing that stays consistent along the way is advertising. So on Mining Store, we advertise on Google, and we also put a lot of money into SEO, or search engine optimization. Who knows if that's still going to be a payoff in the long run with AI and chat models, more recommending sites than people using search engines these days. But for the moment, it definitely still is a big driver for us. And then obviously Facebook ads as well. The quality of lead is much lower on there. So you usually need like a lead qualifier and then someone who then books those leads in with like a sales agent. Or if you're, new starter to the business, you're probably doing that yourself rather than hiring someone to do it. More recently, and why I'm sitting here with Vibes, getting more into social media and content, organic content, telling your story, getting the message out there, building the brand name up. And then, the end goal is to drive, lead generation through the videos that you're, and you can do that in many ways, better than anyone, how to do that. But those would be the main areas. Consistently, Facebook ads, you kind of pay to win at the start. And then as you build a reputation, build a brand, you start investing more in your brand, more into your content, your story, and letting that sell itself.
What was the main motivation as well to start making content for you guys?
It's something that I suppose I've always done to a degree, but never done with the amount of attention that it deserves, right? So for early days, I always did a couple of YouTube videos, and God, it's embarrassing to go back and look at it. It looks like you're like young, no facial hair, 20, 21, 22, whatever. But still, you're just telling your story, and people, that's more than just landing on a website and just seeing Mining Store or just seeing Imperial Wealth, which is our other business. So yeah, remind me of the question.
Yeah, so why did you guys decided to start making content?
Yeah, and putting more effort into it.
Yeah.
You just see that that's the way that the future is going. All of the big businesses, particularly in e-commerce or particularly in education, course selling, mining like we do, the big businesses are doing content, and that's how they're winning the trust on a mass level. I think it's like a bit capped and not as sustainable if you're just operating off ads. You might have a good month, you might have a good year, but then if you haven't built the trust or build that content or build your reputation through the content that you're doing, then it can turn to shit pretty quickly. So yeah, that's personally what got me into it, is just recognizing that, and also wanting to reduce the ad spend. I don't want to keep paying $10,000 a month, $20,000 sometimes for ads, when I know that if I put the effort in and build the organic side, then you're getting the leads for free, just your time and commitment. So yeah, that's probably it for me.
Absolutely. And side note on that as well, ChatGPT ads are coming very soon out. So there's definitely going to be a first mover advantage on it, which will be interesting for the people listening now. Maybe you're listening at the time that it's already fully rolled out, and what that difference can do as well for business owners in itself. This is a this or that segment. So you choose one or the other.
Yep.
Tea or coffee?
Coffee.
Sushi or steak?
We would say sushi. When I started learning to cook steak properly, steak.
You've been selling a lot that steak. I'm gonna have to
got
to try that
barbecue
steak.
recently.
Yeah.
I think I've almost nailed it.
Expert or jack of all trades?
Definitely. Am I or what I would recommend?
Expert or jack of all trades?
Go expert. Do I need to explain or just answer?
Up to you.
Yeah, I just say because when you first start a business, you try to be a jack of all trades, and you need to do that. Like, you need to get a bit of understanding of what is marketing, what is Facebook ads, what are the key metrics, but definitely don't fall in the trap that when things are starting to build and you have the funds to expand, hire experts to do things, and allow yourself to focus on the business, not everything.
CEO or founder?
Founder.
Instagram
What
or
is a CEO?
TikTok?
Just a title. So is a founder, but yeah, founder.
Instagram or TikTok?
Instagram for me. I think TikTok, you get what feels like an inflated number. You get 100,000 views, and you get a lot of traction on there, but the quality is a lot lower. But they're both important in that, it's better to hit multiple angles, and you're doing one piece of content, push it everywhere.
Instagram or Facebook?
Instagram definitely, but Facebook ads probably better-ish. You use Meta, that's where you run the ads, right? But yeah, I'm just going to say Instagram.
Instagram or LinkedIn?
I hate LinkedIn.
Instagram or X?
If you know how to use X, I think it's very powerful. Mitch, our head analyst, is more on X. Probably if you follow the right people, you're getting good alpha and good information. But Instagram's generally easier to use, I think, and more addictive.
Instagram or YouTube?
YouTube long term, yeah.
Photos or videos?
Definitely videos.
Short form or long form video content?
Mix of both, but don't shy away from the long form. I think if you only got short term, you might get a viral video there or one or two, but you need to push them towards the long term to build the trust.
Newsletters or podcasting?
Definitely podcasting. Well, I think I'd be kicked off this set if I said newsletters.
My boy. Organic or paid marketing?
Organic long term, but definitely need to do paid. Like no business off. You might be the rarest business in the world that just does organic and just kills it. And why not do some paid to drive traffic? Like a bit of mix of it is good.
1 million followers with low conversions or 1,000 raving fans?
1,000 raving fans.
Remote talent versus local talent?
A bit of a mix. Depends what for. Remote for things like this where, you need to build a connection. You need to build a branding together. You need to, it's like very real, but for some things that are like robotic tasks or whatever, definitely remote. And we've had a lot of success with developers that are remote. Our whole website is custom built and you'd have to go and use the Imperial platform to really understand how much has gone into it, like millions of dollars of development, API connections, calculators, whatever software, whatever it might be. And yeah, we tried to use local talent originally, and it's just too expensive. You can't compete. And honestly, Philippines, India, their work ethic is pretty high. They don't complain too much. They're happy to grind down. Whereas I think particularly in Australia, it comes with a bit more complaints. But we have two head developers which are Australian based and they're amazing. So you find your gold in Australia, but to assist them to get the most out of them, get the remote in.
A talent at a high price tag or multiple cheap C talent?
A talent.
Building a talent or hiring a talent?
It's a hard one. I think we've had luck with both. It's more just like individual circumstance and what price are you paying it at? What role are you doing it for? Sales, you probably prefer to get a little bit lower, like not this gun that comes in and knows how to do everything and they just don't really deliver that well. Like you kind of need to teach your sales staff the business and get them the wins and have them grow with the business, in my opinion. But something like a strategy person, go A talent, like don't muck around with that. You need to get the best in the business for that. But yeah, does that answer it right?
Property investing or shares?
I don't really do too much shares, but because I'm in crypto, I used to do shares and I moved into crypto, but probably stocks over property.
Shares or Bitcoin?
Bitcoin.
Buying Bitcoin or mining Bitcoin?
A bit of mix of both, yeah. I mean, mining still is my business. It's what puts bread on the table, whatever you want to call it. But it's different times, and we're pretty honest with our clients about that. But for majority of people, I think mining is much better. With the tax benefits, the scalability, taking the emotion out of it, and definitely entry into the market. Mining is way better. Too many people get into the market at the top of the market and then get their hopes of crypto ruined because it's volatile. Whereas mining keeps you in the market for a long time and DCAs you through it. So mining, I'd probably say.
Bitcoin or Ethereum?
Definitely Bitcoin.
Bitcoin or Solana?
Definitely Bitcoin.
Bitcoin or Sui?
Definitely Bitcoin.
Bitcoin or XRP?
Definitely Bitcoin.
Bitcoin or meme coins?
Definitely Bitcoin.
Starting a business or buying a business?
It depends where you're up to and why you're doing it. For me, obviously, I started my business, but did we waste 5 years of building it and building the trust? And, after kind of 3-4 years was when things really, really took off. Maybe if I were to start something new and there was already an existing model for it and I had the funds behind me, I might look at purchasing something just to, weed out the hours and hours and hours and hours that you spend at the start building trust and building the model. But really dependent. If you're breaking into a new industry, probably start it. There's no point in paying for something that's not really established anyway. So, yeah.
Passion 6-figure business or stressful 8-figure business?
Stressful 8.
Sales or marketing?
break even down the middle. Like you need marketing to get sales, so probably marketing, but so many businesses have great marketing and can't convert, so sales are important too. Sales is what puts the runs on the board.
After making millions of dollars, what's the most painful lesson you have learned when it comes to building a business?
I think what I was tapping on before, and probably what a lot of the questions are as well, two things, like not being the jack of all trades, and also not being cheap. Like you got to trial and test things, I think. So for example, with social media, I think when we first met, I remember talking to you and I was saying, I want to just trial things, do my own thing and try things a bit before I come over so that I'm ready for it. And I think a smart thing you said was like, you figure that out as you go and do it with experts. And that's in my personal life. I've done boxing. Would have I ever have got in the ring and had 5 fights if I didn't go with a coach and with the people of experts that surrounded me and encouraged me and told me it was possible? Absolutely not. Like I wouldn't have just trained and watched YouTube videos and then just gone and stepped in the ring. I would never have done it. So that's probably my biggest piece of advice is, seek help. Don't see yourself as the jack of all trades and don't do things cheaply. Invest to get the right results out of things. It's probably the biggest one, I guess.
That one definitely has bite all of us in the ass, doing things cheaply, just trying to get it the cheapest way, and usually it doesn't correlate to getting the best result.
Yeah, exactly. Right. I think do a little bit of playing around. Like don't rush into something because it's a premium and it's going to work and you're hoping and praying. Like understand it before you do it, but do it right. Like don't just spend 2-3 years with a phone trying to make your own podcast and it's not getting results, but that it's happened for other people. Like go to someone like Vibes to get it going with a proper strategy, who have seen all the pitfalls, who can give you advice along the way, who can grow it. That would be my advice.
You've been in business with a business partner for almost 10 years. What has made your particular relationship with your business partner work so well?
Yeah, it's a great question. He's my best mate. We lived together, we played footy together, grew up together. It's a very unique circumstance. We've never really had a fight, but I would say the reason for that is you just respect each other. Like you can't, you got to know what you're good at and what they're good at. And you got to share your ideas and share your strategy and share, your expertise from different areas, but back them in their area and be willing to kind of bite your tongue if that's the area that they control and that's the decision that they make. But yeah, really just knowing like what you're both good at, and yeah, don't hold back. Like if you're thinking something, you got to bring it to the table, but also don't be negative all the time. You've got to try to be positive. Does that answer it?
Yeah, because and I find it super interesting when I see a business relationship like yours that has clearly worked out really well, because if you're long enough in business, you will realize as well that most business partnerships eventually will go separate ways. We have seen plenty. Yeah. There are people even that at some point might have inquired of working with us and, for one reason or another, they didn't move ahead. And eventually when we contact them to say, hey, how are you tracking? How's everything? Like, oh, we're not in business anymore. Or, oh, no, I'm no longer with him or whatever. And you realize most business partnerships, just like relationships, they don't work out. So I'm always curious when you find one that works out really well.
Like why?
What was different about you guys?
Yeah, no, it's a good point. Yeah, it's just one of those things that like the more that you reflect on it, you just kind of like, you're just grateful for it. Like I can't really give like, this is the key that you have to do and it's going to work for you. But another thing that pops into my mind is, don't be greedy as well. Everything that my business partner and I do is equal. Neither of us ever consider, oh, I'm doing this more or you're doing that more. I think we just see that both of us play our roles, and we're happy with that. If someone, equal partnerships is probably really important as well. Like, I would never get myself, unless someone was really, really clearly like an absolute gun and I was like, I just need to go under their wing type thing. I would never really get into something unless it was on equal terms.
What are the 3 things that you will tell your younger self to build an 8-figure business successfully?
Be willing to grind. be willing to put the hours in, be willing to not be greedy, to not expect results quickly. That, just like that long-term vision. And yeah, just like a image that always, and it was like, it happened to me. I was talking to a previous employer who was trying to pull me back into a business that he'd moved on to. This is early days. And he was basically, trying to win me over. And another mate at the time sent me this like image because I was explaining to him where the business is at. And it's like two guys mining, right? Like parallel. And one of them is like a centimeter off getting to the diamond and he's turned back and he's walking away sad. And the other one's like still going, but he's like almost about to get there. And that was literally sent to me and it was like what made me stay building the business. Like I was so close, just being like, this isn't making sense, or it's not going to turn over a profit, etc. But yeah, you stick at it and just realize that it could be like the big win could just be right around the corner. And then once you get through that stage, it's the best lifestyle you ever have. It can be stressful, like you say, but being able to choose, be your own boss, be able to choose when you do things. And really, in my opinion, unless you're a CEO, you called it before, or, someone who's a ridiculously high income, I just don't think you can get ahead unless you are running your own business. That's what I personally think.
That's what I always remind myself as well in difficult times. We're always one move away from a completely different circumstance, scenario, or just a massive win out of nowhere. And it happens every single time.
Yeah, 100%. And it's the best feeling. You kind of don't even realize it when it happens as well. And then, it's other people around you. Oh, yeah, you guys are killing it or whatever. It's like, oh, yeah, actually, we actually are doing really well now. And you forget, or they forget, everyone forgets those really tough times. Yeah. But yeah, it comes in waves, of course. But yeah, just be smart about it. Don't take stupid risks on. But we're willing to spend and, seek help and do things properly. Not just like hoard cash in the bank and never grow and never expand. Yeah,
that's probably the single worst thing that you can do. Not taking any chances on you, right? Playing it too safe.
Yes, exactly.
Which I've done that myself, where you had like a really good year, but reflecting back, you just play it safe.
Yeah.
You know that, and you were kind of gaslighting yourself on, no, I took risks. No, you didn't. You play it safe.
Exactly.
You didn't went and just pour everything back into more growth.
Yes,
right?
Yeah, definitely. Like, I think there is a bit of a balancing act. Like, it's like anything, and I don't really like using like gambling examples, but if you were at, like a roulette table and you just like thought that the best way to go in would be just to put everything on black and hope for the best, like that's obviously gambling, right? But you had a bit of a strategy of spreading out your risk a little bit, and then you get some wins and you put that in the savings side so you don't lose everything. Like, that's similar to how playing a business can be. But usually the biggest businesses, they take risks, and everyone at some stage went all in on something. Usually is what you hear for the biggest businesses.
Yeah. What's the worst business advice you have ever received?
It's a hard one. The worst business advice that I've ever received, I don't know. You just get a lot of shit along the way, to be honest. Like, you just, you kind of, I don't know, I can't answer the worst one, but I just know that there's been times that you kind of meet these people and they, charlatans, they act like they're experts and they act like they know what they're talking about and this is the best way to do it. And they're kind of like, it's very forceful, it's very forceful and like they want you to do it a certain way. And that just screams a bell, like particularly earlier days when we were quite young, people just think you're stupid and they can just take advantage and whatnot. So yeah, I can't really think of like advice per se, but that's probably like the warning. Like, I can answer it in that way is, people are going to try and do that. And I don't know why this pops in my head, but I do want to say this is when you are doing business deals or negotiations or whatever, early days, people like try to leave that feeling like they got a big win or like, yeah, that was good for us. And we learned very early that it never works out. Like, if you got a big win, it, for whatever reason, is not going to work out in the long run. The other person's going to give up on you, or like, I'm not making enough money out of this, or whatever it might be. So like, try to be really, happy, but not like we got a massive win, because it's never a massive win. It just, it crumbles out.
Make it a win-win for everyone.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And make sure that you understand, is this good for you guys as well? And they're not just like, not going to bring their part for the whole duration of it because it doesn't make sense for them after a while. That never works out well.
Absolutely. Opposite to that, what's the best business advice you have ever received?
Best advice that we've ever received. I don't know. It's so hard when you think of one thing and where it all comes from. But like, sounds a bit corny, but like, be true to yourself, I guess. Like, if you like, trust your gut. But yeah, I think it's something along the lines of that. You know, if you feel like you're not working hard, then you're probably not. If you feel like you are overworking, you probably are. It's kind of coming to me now that like balance is pretty important. A big piece of advice or something that I learned through one of our employees was like understanding the burnout. I think a lot of business owners, like, they think they're working hard and they're just grinding and they're just grinding and they're just grinding and they're just really just sitting at their desk, like doing unproductive work. When you need to take care of your health, you need to make sure you're gymming. Boxing was a really big thing for me. You know, I kind of started at a time we had some issues with our business, and being able to go down to the gym and just release and then kind of clear the mind for the rest of the night and then come back the next day and tackle it and not just sit at home and mope and groan and worry. That's really important. So I don't know if like anyone gave me that advice, but that's the advice that I'll give.
Will, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on the podcast. Where can people find you, learn more about what your company does? And by the way, we didn't even cover the trading side. So
Yes.
you, on top of Bitcoin mining, you also help people and business owners to get into trading as well, if that's something that they're interested in. So where can they find you, learn more about it, and connect with you?
Yeah, so websites, miningstore.com.au, Australia's largest, most trusted, longest standing Bitcoin mining, hosting and hardware provider. And then imperialwealth.com, as you said, didn't touch it as much, but a lot of our clients being Bitcoin holders, we take advantage of the altcoin market as well and investing strategies, when to buy, when to sell. So that's the two websites. And then Crypto Coach Will is our podcast. You can find that on YouTube. And yeah, basically anywhere of those places, booking a call is the best thing you can do. You won't really ever understand how well we can actually help you until you speak to one of our experts. So yeah, booking a call if you're ready, or follow our content and you'll learn more about us and if what we do is right for you.
As usual, all the links are down below for you to connect with Will and his companies and team. And if you enjoyed this episode, if you found any of these valuable to you, all I ask is subscribe and share it with another business owner or founder that would also get some value out of it. Other than that, I'll see you on the next episode. Hey legends, my goal with Founders Playbook is to help 1 million entrepreneurs build successful personal brands and businesses so that they can increase their impact and profits. You can support the mission by simply sharing the podcast with other founders and entrepreneurs. Leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and follow us on social media. Let's get to work.